Welcome to A Square Maths. Today we are going to see function of complex variables part 2. In part 1, we saw how to form function of complex variables, what is the geometrical interpretation of function of complex variables, differentiability of function of complex variables, and analytic functions. Now, here we are going to see Cauchy-Riemann conditions in polar form for function to be analytic. Second, we are going to see harmonic functions and property of harmonic functions of real part and imaginary part of analytic function and orthogonal trajectories. Now, let us start from Cauchy-Riemann equations in polar coordinate form. Statement: let f of z is equals to f of r e raised to I theta be an analytic function represented in polar form, that is in the form of r and theta, where r is equals to under root of x square minus x square plus y square. It is modulus of complex number and theta is amplitude of complex number, that is tan inverse of y by x, such that f of z is equals to f of r e raised to I theta is equals to u of r theta plus I v of r theta. Then Cauchy-Riemann equations can be stated as delta u by delta r is equals to 1 upon r delta v by delta theta, and delta v by delta r is equals to minus 1 upon r delta v by delta theta. Same thing you can express in the form of ur is equals to 1 upon r v theta, that is partial differentiation of u with respect to r, and v theta is partial differentiation of v with respect to theta. And vr, that is partial differentiation of v with respect to r, is equals to minus 1 upon r u theta, that is partial differentiation of u with respect to theta. How to recall this one? I have made here one arrangement that whatever the partial differentiation of u with respect to r and 1 upon r, I have kept one term to LHS and other term to RHS. And if you observe this term, here is differentiation of u with respect to r, that is first variable's differentiation with respect to first variable, and second variable's differentiation with the second variable, and it is positive. And when you differentiate first variable with respect to second variable, that is delta u by delta theta, and second variable with respect to first variable, that is delta v by delta r, then it will be a negative sign. Like this you can remember for the further study without doing any silly mistake. Now let us see the sums where we can apply the Cauchy-Riemann equations in polar form to solve the sums. First sum: if omega is equals to log of z, determine whether omega is analytic and find d omega by dz. Solution: let omega is equals to log of z, therefore omega is equals to u plus iv is equals to log of z. Let us replace z in the exponential form of complex number, that is log of r e raised to I theta, and by the law of logarithm, log of a into b is nothing but log of a plus log of b. Hence log of r e raised to I theta can be written as log of r plus log of e raised to I theta. And in the last step, log of e to the power I theta can be written as I theta log of e, and the value of log of t to the base e is 1. Hence you will get omega is equals to log of r plus I theta. Now here we have real part is log of r and imaginary part is theta. So let us take u is equals to log of r and theta is nothing but the v. Now let us differentiate u and v with respect to r and theta partially. Therefore, del by u by del by r, derivative of log of r with respect to r is 1 upon r. And del by u by del by theta, since u is free from theta, so log of r will be treated as a constant and derivative of constant is 0. Hence, del by u by del by theta is equals to 0. And del by v by del by r, since v is free from r, the derivative of v with respect to r partially will be a 0, and del by v by del by theta is equals to 1 since v is equals to theta. And hence, by using these partial differentiations of u and v, you can conclude that del by u by del by r is equals to 1 upon r del by v by del by theta, because this one is del by u by del by r is 1 by r, this one is 1 by r, and del by v by del by theta is 1, so 1 by r is equals to 1 by r, and del by v by del by r is equals to minus 1 by r del by u by del by theta. Both the differentiations are 0 and hence equality proves. And hence we can conclude that Cauchy-Riemann equations in the polar form satisfies, so f of z is an analytic function and we may differentiate it as d omega by dz is equals to d by dz log of z, and that is equals to derivative of log of z with respect to z is 1 by z, and hence we found the d omega by dz. Next sum. Find rho if f of z is equals to r square cos of 2 theta plus I sin of rho theta is an analytic function. Solution. Let omega is equals to f of z is equals to u plus iv r square cos of 2 theta plus I r square sin of rho theta. Here r square cos of 2 theta is real part and r square sin of rho theta is imaginary part. So here u is equals to r square cos of 2 theta and v is equals to r square sin of rho theta. Now let us differentiate u and v with respect to r and theta partially. So del by u by del by r is equals to derivative of r square is 2r cos of 2 theta is constant, will be as it is. Del by u by del by theta, r square will be carried forward as it is, and derivative of cos of 2 theta is minus 2 sin of 2 theta. Similarly, del by v by del by r is derivative of r square is 2r sin of rho theta, and del by v by del by theta is equals to rho r square cos of rho theta. But we have given that f of z be an analytic function. Hence, it satisfies the CR equations, that is Cauchy-Riemann equations in polar form. Those are del by u by del by r is equals to 1 upon r del by v by del by theta, and del by v by del by r is equals to minus 1 upon r del by u by del by theta. By putting these values from which we have found del by u by del by r is nothing but 2r cos of 2 theta is equals to 1 upon r del by v by del by theta is r square rho r square cos of rho theta. So rho r square cos of rho theta, and del by v by del by r is 2r sin of rho theta is equals to minus 1 upon r. That is, and let us put del by u by del by theta, that is minus 2r square sin of 2 theta, and this can be written as 2 cos of 2 theta. This r will get cancelled with this r, and one remaining r will get cancelled with this r, so that will be only 2 cos of 2 theta is equals to rho cos of rho theta. Similarly here, negative negative will become positive, and this r will get cancelled with this one r, and one r will get cancelled with this r, and hence this equality will be the sin of rho theta is equals to sin of 2 theta. And if you observe these two equalities, you can conclude that rho is equals to 2. This one is the expected value of rho. Next sum. Is f of z is equals to z upon z bar an analytic function. Z is a complex number and z bar is a conjugate of that complex number. So Let f of z is equals to z by z bar. Put z is equals to r e raised to I theta. Therefore, z bar is equals to r e raised to minus I theta. By putting these both the values which are in exponential form of complex number in f of z, so f of z is equals to r e raised to I theta upon r e raised to minus I theta. So r will get cancelled, it will be e raised to I theta upon e raised to minus I theta, and that is equals to e raised to I theta. 1 upon e raised to minus I theta can be written as e raised to I theta. And then by the law of indices, e raised to I theta into e raised to I theta will be the e raised to 2I theta. But e raised to 2I theta can be written as polar form as f of z is equals to cos of 2 theta plus I sin of 2 theta. So let us separate the real part and imaginary part now. And here u is equals to cos of 2 theta and v is equals to sin of 2 theta. Let us differentiate u and v with respect to r and theta partially. So we got here delta u by delta r is equals to 0 and delta u by delta theta is equals to minus 2 sin of 2 theta. Since u is free from r, so its derivative with respect to r is 0, and derivative of cos of 2 theta with respect to theta is minus 2 sin of 2 theta. Similarly, let us differentiate v with respect to r and theta partially. So that is delta v by delta r, since v is free from r, will be a 0, and delta v by delta theta is equals to 2 cos of 2 theta. And hence, by using these four differentiations, you can conclude that delta u by delta r is not equal to 1 by r delta v by delta theta, and delta v by delta r is not equal to minus 1 upon r delta u by delta theta. Hence, Cauchy-Riemann equations in polar form are not satisfied by f of x. Hence, you can conclude that f of z is not an analytic function. Example 4. Is omega is equals to z raised to n is an analytic function? If analytic, find d omega by dz. If you observe omega is equals to z raised to n, and if you put z is equals to x plus iy, that is in Cartesian form, and if you try to separate the real part and imaginary part, it will be a lengthier. So for that, let us take z is equals to r e raised to I theta, that is exponential form of complex number. Let omega is equals to z raised to n. Put z is equals to r e raised to I theta, and therefore omega is equals to z raised to n will be is equals to r e raised to I theta raised to n. And by the law of indices, this can be written as r raised to n e raised to I n theta, and e raised to I n theta in the polar form cos of n theta plus I sin of n theta. And now you can separate the real part and imaginary part of the function of complex variables. And here u is equals to r raised to n cos of n theta, and v is equals to r raised to n sin of n theta. Now differentiate u and v with respect to r and theta partially. So delta u by delta r is equals to r raised to n into r raised to n minus 1 cos of n theta, and delta u by delta theta differentiation of u with respect to theta r raised to n as it is, and derivative of cos of n theta is minus n sin of n theta. Similarly, delta v by delta r is, that is differentiation of v with respect to r partially, and derivative of r raised to n is n r raised to n minus 1 sin of n theta, and delta v by delta theta is equals to derivative of sin of n theta with respect to theta is n r raised to n cos of n theta. And hence, by using these all four partial differentiations, we can conclude that delta u by delta r is equals to 1 upon r delta v by delta theta, and that is equals to n r raised to n minus 1 cos of n theta, and delta v by delta r is equals to minus 1 upon r delta u by delta theta, is equals to n r raised to n minus 1 sine of n theta. As the function omega satisfies the Cauchy-Riemann equations in polar form, it is an analytic function. That is, omega is an analytic function and its derivative as usual d omega by dz is equals to d by dz, z raised to n is equals to n z raised to n minus 1. Let us see now harmonic function. Harmonic function. Analytic function of x and y which has continuous partial derivatives of the first order and second order satisfies Laplace equation. That is, if function phi of xy satisfies del phi is equals to delta 2 by delta x square of phi plus delta 2 phi by delta y square is equals to 0, then we can say that phi is called harmonic function. In polar form, any function of r and theta which has continuous partial derivatives of the first order and second order satisfies Laplace equation. Laplace equation in polar form is like this: delta 2 phi by delta r square plus 1 upon r, delta phi by delta r plus 1 upon r square, delta 2 phi by delta theta square is equals to 0. How to recall this one? In each term, there is to the denominator r square. One is r delta r square, other one is r delta r, and other one is r square. And like this, you can remember this one. And phi is called as harmonic function. In polar form, there is a 3 terms, and in Cartesian form, there is a 2 terms, because here is r and theta. If f of z is equals to u of xy plus iv of xy be an analytic function, then real and imaginary parts are harmonic functions. So let us do this one. Let f of z is equals to u of xy plus I v of xy be an analytic function. As we have mentioned, real part is u of xy and imaginary part of u of xy, and here also it implies. So since f of z is an analytic function, it satisfies Cauchy-Riemann equations. So that one will be the delta u by delta x is equals to delta v by delta y, let it be 1, and delta u by delta y is equals to minus delta v by delta x, let it be second. Differentiating 1 with respect to x and 2 with respect to y partially. So we get here delta 2u by delta x square is equals to delta 2v by delta x delta y, let it be 3. And similarly, delta 2u by delta y square is equals to minus partial differentiation of delta v by delta x with respect to y is delta 2v by delta x delta y, let it be 4. Adding 3 and 4, we get delta 2u by delta x square, this term, then delta 2u by delta y square. If you see, the RHS of 3 and 4 are same but with opposite sign, and that their addition will be the 0, and hence we get here delta 2u by delta x square plus delta 2u by delta y square is equals to 0. Hence, u of xy is harmonic function. Now, let us differentiate 1 with respect to y and 2 with respect to x partially. So, you will get here partial differentiation of dabba u by dabba x with respect to y will be the dabba 2u by dabba x dabba y is equals to partial differentiation of dabba v by dabba y with respect to y is dabba 2v by dabba y square. Let it be 5. And here partial differentiation of dabba u by dabba y with respect to x will be the dabba 2u by dabba y dabba x. And partial differentiation of dabba v by dabba x with respect to x is dabba 2v by dabba x square. And hence, let it be question number 6. Subtracting 6 from 5, you will get dabba 2v by dabba x square. Subtracting this one, so negative will be positive. So minus minus will become plus dabba 2v by dabba x square plus dabba 2v by dabba y square is equals to 0. Hence, v is a harmonic function. Like this, we have proved here, if f of z is an analytic function with the real part u of xy and with the imaginary part v of xy, we can conclude that u and v both are harmonic function, that is, they satisfy Laplace equation. Next, let us see now orthogonal functions. The real valued continuous and differentiable functions f1 of xy is equals to c1 and f2 of xy is equals to c2 are said to be orthogonal to each other if the angle between these two curves at the point of intersection is always right angle. And at the point of intersection, it implies that the tangent of the curves are perpendicular to each other. Then it is similar if the family of curves f1 of xy is equals to c1 and f2 of xy is equals to c2, where c1 and c2, if you take the arbitrary constants, then it forms the orthogonal trajectories. And diagrammatically, if this one is the one curve and this one is the another set of curves, and if this angle is right angle everywhere, then we can say that these two set of curves forms the orthogonal trajectories, and these functions are called as set of orthogonal functions. Let us take a theorem based on analytic function and orthogonal property of the real part and imaginary part of analytic function. So the statement, if f of z is equals to u of xy plus iv of xy is an analytic function, then u of xy is equals to c1 and v of xy is equals to c2, where c1 and c2 are constants, form an orthogonal trajectory. Proof. Let f of z is equals to u of xy plus I v of xy be an analytic function. So let us take u of xy is equals to c1 and v of xy is equals to c2 be family of curves. So you may have the total differentiation of u of xy and v of xy as du is equals to dabba u by dabba x dx plus dabba u by dabba y dy is equals to 0, and dv is equals to dabba v by dabba x dx plus dabba v by dabba y dy is equals to 0. Now, by using these two equations, you can find dy by dx for u of xy is equals to c1 is equals to minus dabba u by dabba x upon dabba u by dabba y. It's a very simple. Take this term to this side, it will become minus. Take dx this side again, that is dabba y by dabba x, and take dabba u by dabba y to the RHS, that one will be this one. And dy by dx for v of xy is equals to c2 is equals to minus dabba v by dabba x upon dabba v by dabba y. And hence, whatever these quantities, these are nothing but the dy by dx, and dy by dx is nothing but the slope of the tangent to the curve u of xy is equals to c1, and this one is slope of the tangent to the v of xy is equals to c2. Hence you can write slope of tangent to the curve u of xy is equals to c1 is equals to m1. Say the slope of this slope is equals to m1 is equals to minus del by u by del by x upon del by u by del by y, and slope of tangent to the curve v of xy is equals to c2 is equals to m2 is equals to minus del by v by del by x upon del by v by del by y. Let us take multiplication of the slope of the tangents, that is m1 into m2 is equals to minus del by u by del by x upon del by u by del by y into minus del by v by del by x upon del by v by del by y, and that is by CR equations del by u by del by x upon del by u by del by y, and del by v by del by x is nothing but minus del by u by del by y, and del by v by del by y is nothing but minus upon del by u by del by x, and hence this del by v by del by x upon del by v by del by y can be transferred to minus del by u by del by y upon del by u by del by x, and then del by u by del by y and del by u by del by y will get cancelled, del by u by del by x and del by u by del by x cancel, and it will be is equals to minus 1, and hence you know very well, if the multiplication of slope of tangents of the curve is equals to minus 1, then the curves are orthogonal to each other, or you can say that tangent of the both the family of the curves are perpendicular to each other, and hence you can conclude that u of xy is equals to c1 and u of v of xy is equals to c2 forms orthogonal trajectories. Next sum. If f of z is an analytic function and mod of z is constant, then prove that f of z is also constant. Let f of z is equals to u plus iv be an analytic function, and mod of z is equals to, you know very well, mod value of complex number is under root of real part square plus imaginary part square is equals to c, where c is a constant. That is mod of z, mod of f of z is equals to under root of u square plus v square is equals to c. Then squaring on both sides, you can take u square plus v square is equals to c square, let it be 1. Differentiating 1 with respect to x partially, you get here derivative of u square. You are supposed to use here chain rule. Derivative of u square with respect to u is 2u, and derivative of u with respect to x partially is del by u by del by x. Similarly, derivative of v square with respect to x, 2v into del by v by del by x is equals to 0. Let it be second. Differentiating 1 with respect to y partially, you get here 2u del by u by del by y plus 2v del by u by del by y is equals to 0. Let it be third. By Cauchy-Riemann equations, let us apply Cauchy-Riemann equations in second. You got there 2u del by u by del by x is nothing but del by v by del by y, and del by v by del by x is nothing but the minus del by u by del by y. So let it be equation number 4. After this, let us take third into u minus 4 into v, and if you do this, you will get there 2u square del by u by del by y plus 2uv del by v by del by y minus this one 2uv del by v by del by y minus minus will become plus 2uv del by u by del by y. 2uv del by u by del by y and 2uv del by will get cancelled, and you will get here 2u square plus v square del by u by del by y is equals to 0, and you can conclude that del by u by del by y is equal to 0. Similarly, you can show that delta u by delta v is equals to 0, delta v by delta y is equals to 0, and delta u by delta y is equals to 0. Hence, u is free from x and y, v is free from x and y. It implies that u and v are constants, and hence f of z is equals to u plus iv is a constant function. Thank you. Let us stop here. In the next session, let us take more examples as well as theorem based on polar form of Cauchy-Riemann equations and Cauchy-Riemann equations in Cartesian form. Thank you.